Okay, so it is finally deadline day and the Premier League begins tonight, and I have finally settled on what I think should be my final 15 players. There's really only one player in here that I'm not 100% sure of, but I can't really see any other options. But my attack, I'm absolutely happy with. My midfield, I'm absolutely happy with. And my defence is really where I am content with what I've got. So we're going to look at the team today. We're going to look at the final draft heading into game week 1. We're starting off in goals with Dean Henderson. Now, I've got him in, again, 4.5 million goalkeeper I think is the way to go. I've got Vladimirson in there on the bench as well. Really doesn't make too much of a difference who that's going to be because they're not going to be playing. So in goals, it was really between Henderson or Flecken for me. And then if we pull up the clean sheet odds for the first 6 game weeks, you can see that Crystal Palace is in there at number 5. Now, that makes Dean Henderson the best 4.5 goalkeeper because everyone above that, or all the teams above that, do have goalkeepers who are a little bit more expensive. So I'm more than happy to go with Henderson. He does pick up a fair amount of saves as well, and he has some decent fixtures. So we're going to go for Henderson and goals over Flecken. Now, in defence, we're starting off with Saliba. Now, he has been a late change for me. I did have Gabriel originally. My only reason for not going for Gabriel is projected to score a little bit more points than Saliba is because he is technically more of a goal threat. My only reason for going for Saliba is because I think he is just a little bit more nailed. We saw at the start of last season, a lot of people started off with Gabriel and then he never really played as much. Again, no real reason as to why. So I'm thinking with the signing of Calafiori, and everyone knows he is a little bit better as a centre-back than he is as a left-back, I think there could be some potential rotation in there. Maybe as like we saw at the start of last season. So not that I do think Gabriel will start. I just think Saliba is just that little bit more nailed, and I'd rather not take the risk on going for that. I also really like the fixtures for Arsenal in the first couple, and I think that game week 1 fixture against Wolves is the most nailed on clean sheet that you're going to see for the first few game weeks, so I'm more than happy to go for that, and I don't want to miss out on those points. Secondly, we're going for Pedro Porro. Now, he is the one player that I'm not 100% content with, and it's because of the game week 3 and game week 4 fixture with Newcastle and Arsenal. Now, again, he's a very popular player, so that's why I went for him, but I've got 5.5 million left to pick a defender, and I don't want to go for Munoz at 5 million because I've got Henderson in goal and I don't want to double up on the Crystal Palace defence, and there's no other 5 million or 5.5 million defenders that I really like too much. Now, I was tempted to go for Udogie, but again, I'd have 0.5 million in the bank that I don't know what I want to do with because I do have the attack that I want and I do have the midfield that I want, so it would just be sitting with 0.5 in the bank, and I do think Porro is just a bit better option than Udogie is. So I went for him, and his attacking output should be quite good, and I think with Leicester and Everton in the first 2 games, he can still do quite well for me. Now, the 3rd and 4th defender spots are going to Kwanzaa and Mykolenko. Now, I did want to make use of the 4.5 million defenders so I can do a little bit of rotation with those guys because there is a lot of good options in there, which does leave things open to be able to transfer them out for anyone who comes into a good run of fixtures. So we're going for Kwanzaa. It does look as though he's going to be favoured to Kanate. He has played a lot in pre-season, and from what I've seen, he's a bit better on the ball than Kanate, and that's why Slot likes him. So, willing to take that risk. He's only 4.5 million, and I did want a Liverpool defender for their run of games. As much as I wanted to get Trent in, again, if I could get Trent in over Porro in this team, it would absolutely be the 100% best team I could have got, but I couldn't find 1.5 million anywhere. So we're going for Kwanzaa instead. At least that way I'm still covering the Liverpool defence if they are going to get any clean sheets. Then obviously Mykolenko. Some really nice fixtures, more like game week 6 onwards. They have nice fixtures, but I'm more than happy to rotate him with Kwanzaa and Porro if needed, and he can come in because I quite like the Everton defence and they were very solid last season. So we're going for Mykolenko, and as our 5th defender we're going for Harwood Bellis. Now that was originally Barco, but because of the signing of Kadioglu, who could potentially play as a left back, and the fact that Estepinian is back in training, I'm not going to touch him because I think he could be a bit of a trap and he could drop to about 3.9, 3.8 quite early on, especially if he doesn't start. So we're going for Harwood Bellis because at least that way I know he is going to play, and he's probably never going to make my starting 11 anyways, so I'd rather just not have someone who is likely to drop in price and I lose team value on a random bench player who's never going to get a game. Now, starting off in the midfield, we have Saka as our most expensive midfielder, which means we're going without Salah, and we'll speak about that a little bit later on. We're going for Saka because he is one of the highest players for predicted points in midfield, and again I did want an Arsenal attacker in this team with their first few fixtures, because I think again the Wolves at home fixture is a really nice one, Brighton at home in game week 3, and even Aston Villa in game week 2. I think he could do something, and of course he does take the penalties for Arsenal, so I think saving that 2.5 million over Salah and putting that elsewhere is going to be a bit beneficial, because obviously Saka ended up outscoring Salah last season, and I think we could see something similar this season, because I think Arsenal are going to do really well, so I've opted for him instead of Salah. Secondly, we're going for Bruno Fernandes. For me, he's literally the one pick that I really, really wanted in this team. If you watch the bonus points video that I put out a couple of weeks ago, he does look like he's going to benefit from it quite well. He's obviously guaranteed to play 90 minutes basically every single match. He's on set pieces, he takes penalties, he takes free kicks. And it just is a really nice option, and they do have some really good fixtures. It's really only Liverpool in the first 4 fixtures that could be a bit of a difficult one for him, but I think he does quite well, and at 8.5 million I really, really wanted to get him in the team. Then we have Jota at 7.5 million, and now he's going to be the one for the first few game weeks that is going to hopefully cover Salah. Now he's 5 million cheaper. He is predicted to start at striker. Now, my reasoning for not going for Salah is because he has been playing wider in pre-season, so I'm thinking if I want someone to be getting goals in the Liverpool attack with their really nice fixtures, I want to be going for the striker, and at 5 million cheaper, I'd much rather have Jota than Salah, even if he isn't going to be the penalty taker. So the idea is, if Jota is going to get replaced maybe by Nunez or by Gakpo or whatever happens, at least I can make the transfer and go to someone like Nkunku, I can go to someone like Eze, and I don't have to worry about price changes because Jota is more expensive, so I can easily make that move in game week 3 or 4 if I wanted to. Then my budget midfielder is going to be Emile Smith-Rowe. Now again, scored in his first pre-season match for Fulham. I think he's going to be a really nice option. I think he could potentially score tonight as well against Man United. But I think again, the Fulham have some nice fixtures for the first opening game weeks, and I think he's the best 5.5 million option. The other one I was considering was maybe Minte, but I don't like Brighton's fixtures. And then the Nottingham Forest players as well, but again, can't really guarantee their minutes, can't guarantee how good Forest are going to be. So I'm going to go for Smith-Rowe, quite happy with that one. He was another one that I wanted to pick. And then for my 4.5 million option, I'm going for Bergvall. Again, just picking a low ownership player who could potentially do quite well, and I'm going to be able to avoid any price drops by going with someone like, rather than going for someone like Winks, who has over 10% owns. And again, he's never going to make my team anyway, so I'd rather just stick to someone who's going to stay at 4.5 mil. If Bergvall plays, then brilliant. He's always going to be an option in the future if I ever wanted to play him. Starting off up front as well, we have Erling Haaland. Now, I didn't want to miss out on him. I think with the game against Chelsea, who he usually does quite well against, and obviously scored a hat-trick against in pre-season, and then Ipswich in game week 2. Now, my plan is right now to use the triple captainship early on and go for Haaland against Ipswich, because the amount of people that don't have Haaland off the start, I think it could be a really good opportunity to get at them with Haaland, because if Haaland's going to have a really good start to the season, people are going to start bringing him in and making teams around Haaland at that point, and everyone's going to have him. So I would rather not captain him in game week 1 and then triple captain in game week 2, and hopefully we can get a big bounce on those who've went without him. So that is the plan. Then we went for Isak, who is going to be the captaincy for this week. Again, we explained this. We went over all the stats in yesterday's Game Week 1 captaincy video, so make sure to go and check that out if you want to see why we picked Isak. But he's the captain. He is the person who was in all 50 of the YouTuber teams that we analysed a couple days ago as well, so make sure to check that video out. But again, he's basically the best value player in the game right now, and more than happy to go with him and captain him against Southampton at home. And then finally we went for Solanke. Now, the reason I went for him is I found myself trying to find a way to get in Son, and then I just kind of had a consideration of like, why would I pick Son at 10 million when I can go for the Spurs striker at 7.5, kind of similar to the Jota and Salah situation, picking the striker for 5 million cheaper rather than the winger. Same with Solanke and Son, picking the striker for 2.5 million cheaper. Now, I don't know if Solanke's going to take penalties off Son, that's one to be seen. But again, I do think Solanke could do quite well, especially in Game Week 1 and 2 with Leicester and Everton. And I think Spurs have a really good season this year, obviously extremely attacking. Now, when we're looking at the stats from last season as well, Solanke was actually 4th in the league for XG with 19. Now, he didn't actually outperform his XG either when he actually scored 19 goals, which is obviously always a good sign when a player doesn't outscore their XG. But I'm just thinking an attacking Spurs team, that can only improve from what he got at Bournemouth. So I'm expecting Solanke to score a lot of goals this season, and I'm more than happy to go with him over, for example, a 7.5 million midfielder like maybe an Eze at 7 or Nkunku. I think Solanke could do a lot better than them. So in terms of like chip strategy, I don't have a proper chip strategy heading into this. I think my team is well set up enough to last me for a good few weeks. So if I wanted to do a wild card in Game Week 4, I can. I've still well set up for the first 3 game weeks with 2 Arsenals and 2 Liverpools. I'm still covering off those teams with the nice fixtures. So if I wanted to do a wild card in Game Week 4, I could. If I wanted to do a wild card in Game Week 6, I could. And I believe I could even stretch my team as far as Game Week 10 onwards with being able to roll some transfers. So I'm going to try and roll transfers for the first few weeks. Right now my first planned transfer would be in about Game Week 5, and that's when I would probably look to get Haaland out and maybe bring in Cole Palmer or some of the more expensive midfielders. But again, leaving it open for the wild card I think is a good move, and I am definitely heavily considering that triple captain chip in Game Week 2 for Haaland. So that is the team. Let me know if yours is any similar down in the comments below, and let me know what you think of the team in general. Am I mad for going without Salah? Am I mad for going without Trent? I'm not really too sure because the Liverpool fixtures do look fantastic. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe as well, and good luck for Game Week 1, and I'll see you all in the next one.